It is without a doubt a legend, born of an impossible request and birthed by mythic architects. The entire industry took notice within days of its announcement. To even mention its name would hush a room and draw curious looks. But how did the crown prince of combat pistols end up a novelty? And why is the Mark 23 not in the holster of anybody who's anyone? Flush with support after their stellar performance in Desert Storm, SOCOM decided that they needed a new sidearm for reasons. First and foremost was, why not? And so was born the Offensive Handgun Weapons System program. Of course, the whole ordeal is far more nuanced than that, and it's been beat to death by other gun tubers. 1911 Syndicate and Forgotten Weapons both have great videos on it that I will link in the description below. But the TLDR is that two companies actually read the requirements list that was as long as my undergrad thesis. Colt and Heckler and Koch both stepped up to the plate. While Colt's offering was lacking, to be fair to them, they were busy as they were a little bit overdue for their once every decade bankruptcy. So H&K came out on top, and I will never deny that they came up with something special. So let me give you an idea of what H&K had to put up with during their development process. Go to all of your friends and have them create a list of the characteristics that the greatest painting in the world has to have in it. Don't let them discuss this amongst themselves. Just collect those lists and then hand them to your artist friend. You will then watch the greatest existential crisis you can imagine well up in them, and their anxiety issue that was a problem now will become their defining characteristic. That's what HK did, and they actually achieved it. So this is just a taste of the disparate requirements that HK had to put up with. In the demand letter from SOCOM, it stated that the Mark 23 would have to accept a suppressor and have a mechanism in the system that would lock the slide to prevent it from making undue noise when being fired suppressed. Then they went and in the same letter stated that it had to use 185 grain plus P supersonic ammo. Now, if you see the problem with this request, go ahead and post it down in the comments so as to illuminate those without enough understanding to know why that's an issue. If you like content like the fever dream that's going on right now, go ahead and leave a like, a comment, and subscribe so that we can show the vengeful YouTube gods that we won't be silenced. If you want to support the channel directly, then the best bet is to go to either our web store or a brick and mortar location for all of your Freedom Seed needs. When the acceptance of the Mark 23 was announced, the gun community went wild. It was on the front page of every gun magazine out there. And I even chose to forego my weekend video game rental so I could buy the 1997 American Handgunner issue that had this on the front page. I read it so many times I had to tape that magazine back together. In 1998, Hideo Kojima's masterpiece dropped. Metal Gear Solid featured the Mark 23 front and center, and even made special notice of the utility of a suppressor on Shadow Moses Island. This early pop culture appearance helped cement the Mark 23 in the public psyche. Then with its appearance in Tears of the Sun, that just helped further the iconic status of the Mark 23. As I transitioned from civilian to military life, you can imagine my dismay when I saw a SEAL loading his SIG P226, and I looked at him and asked him, "Where's your Mark 23? He just looked at me and chuckled and then got in the Humvee. To this day, I'm not really sure if he just thought I was a dumbass E2, or if he looked at me as someone who got the in-joke of the crew-served pistol. The Mark 23 is big. I'm talking about the guy she told you not to worry about big. That's coming in at nearly 10 inches long and 6 inches tall. And if you want a cutout book for this, you're going to need a Gutenberg Bible. It's none too light either, and this translates into a 45 that's great to shoot, but a bitch to carry. And you better get ready for some bespoke kydex if you want a holster for it anymore. When I was downrange, I saw Mark 23s in arms rooms, but never on anybody's hip. It was the big iron that got left at home. Yet, after 10 years of service, how did the crown prince of combat pistols end up discarded? A camel is a horse designed by a committee. And, well, the Mark 23 is a well-bred dromedary. The design and engineering team at H&K achieved a miracle when they checked every box that SOCOM asked them to. The Mark 23 did everything any operator could ask for, but none of them reached for it. It was the prodigal son whose gospel was only heard outside of the church. There are some for whom the Mark 23 is a grail gun, the purchase at which all their chase ends. They can sit at home and look at it and be full. This is a distinction that the Mark 23 is worthy of. It shoots incredibly accurately, so soft that you're certain that it's compensated, and when it comes to reliability, it will eat itself alive before it fails you. The Mark 23 may have lost its luster for those for whom it was designed, but for those of us who savored it, whether it was in Hideo Kojima's crowning achievement before all his work turned into existential drivel, or if it was in print and film media that it captured your imagination, there's no denying that H&K came up with something very special. It managed to satisfy the qualms of bureaucrats who hadn't left their desk in 20 years, and it did it magnificently. I will forever reject the idea that a firearm is some talisman enchanted with the power to make us stronger or push us towards good or evil paths. But I cannot, however, deny that there is some spark of magic in the Mark 23. And when you pull the trigger on one, I'd wager a fair bit that you'd agree with me. Anyway, I'm Chris with Jerry'sOutdoorSports.com. I'll see you next time.